So I think I have a very different take on this. So I have a numbers man on my left, and I've got somebody who doesn't really support numbers in its traditional sense on my right. I'd like to say that I think both of them are extremely right. Okay, I'm going to be as diplomatic as possible. But I think very point blank relationships cannot be built on numbers. Do you value your relationship with your friends? I don't think that's just possible at all. I think I'm just trying to really make this conversation as basic as possible. It may not be as simple as that, which is why I said both of them are right. But then let's just get to one basic understanding. Any relationship with an influencer, I don't think you should put any metric on it at all. What is the influencer going to talk about? What is his reach? I'm sorry, you're wrong again on the numbers. It's not going to pan out the way you actually expect it to. Because you can continue to extrapolate the numbers which won't pan out on sales, which won't pan out on any other way of measurement that you're generally used to, as long as you get the fact that relationships with people are exactly that, they're relationships. I mean, you must read this book called Predictably Irrational, where they say that trying to monetize relationships is actually counterproductive. And I completely believe in that. But having said that, it's always important to go after the right numbers. And how do you start establishing what are the right numbers is to get the business objective right. I think most people forget the business objective aspect of it. What is the business objective? What is the problem? And how am I going to measure the solution? If you have these three in place, then it's very easy for you to start quantifying it. Outside of that, everything is just absolute gas.
I think this has become it's like a kid getting a new toy, simply because after years you have this social, you have digital where every damn thing can be measured, right? So people are getting more or less obsessed with measuring just about everything, right? I think we have far too many obsession with measurements and analytics, and it's a good thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it, but far too less with insights and, human understanding of how people are relating to the new medium. So I think that's the area where I see less and less. I see a lot of studies and lots of tools coming up on the other side. I like numbers.
Anurag,
I like 3.
when we look back, or when we look at social media and we talk about fear, we talk about governments having fear, we're talking about brands having fear, etc., and surveillance. In a scenario like that, it's obviously the destructive element of social media which is creating this fear, the in-your-face reality that people face, because there's no middleman and you're straight out there. And why is it that, and I'm sure, in the Middle East, in any case, they'll vouch for the fact that, social media is extremely important because they sent out so many messages from there. When we look at a lot of other activism or movements that have taken place and where social media has been referred to and talked about, again, it's invariably activism. It's a certain sense of empowerment and things like that. Now, why is it that we don't seem to see enough examples of success stories per se for a brand or for an entity, and that doesn't seem to be there in the same way? Although you did mention how people were generating business, and I think there are examples in the case of, I think there was a brand, one of the Parle brands, which was talked about in India, Hippo, that used to use social media to try and figure out as to, it was individuals consumers who were telling them as to stuff is going off the shelf, and they didn't have to wait for the retailer to tell them. So stuff like that, but there isn't anything, significant or something that one hears much about. What's the trick? What's there that
for me, Apple's success in a long way was this, from the 90s when they took off. It's really at one point, Apple did, they cracked it the best way possible. You don't crack social media or today's world by messaging, you do it by doing great products. But once you do it, how do you let people know? People got, let other people know, right? The entire Apple brand is built by people talking to people. So, the stuff like, Egypt and stuff like that, of course, we talk about it more because they are large sociological changes. There are a lot of brands which have kind of benefited from social media, and they are benefiting. Of course, they can do more. That's why we earn a living. But, right? But it's not that they're not doing it.
So, Sharif, are you asking that is there a deep dive in terms of looking at what's working and what's not working? Is there enough case studies, is enough knowledge being shared in a deep dive manner, not in a superficial? Is that what you're
actually asking? I'm connecting a lot of conversations we've had since the session started, which had to do with ROI, which had to do with business imperatives, which had to do with listening all of these factors, because the sense one is constantly getting is the fear has to do with maybe freedom of speech, which we can discuss, or or the aspect is that you're not able to really drive a business or a brand in the same way as you thought that you could. But again, that's being it's a question as whether any of the forms of media does that at all. So we're trying to connect all of these factors and pick up on from there.
I just wanted to give you 3 data points. We were at the Exchange for Media Conclave, and the theme was Big Data Meets Advertising. And I came, while I was preparing my keynote speech, I came across a data point that I want to share. In the last, the total amount of data that exists today in the world is 2.5. I was trying to be sure, so that's why I was looking. Is about 2.5 quintillion data. And 90% of data has been created in the last 2 years. So the tweets, the pokes, the Facebook updates. So just to give you how much a quintillion is, it's 10 to the power of 18. Now that's the kind of data being created every day. That's the data that's been created in the last 2 years. Second thing, it's my favorite example, I've said that before. In some way, social media is a little frivolous. And I always say advertising brings responsibility. Media platforms that have advertising cannot take sides, and you can argue with me. I want to give you the example of a very well-known lifestyle editor. I won't take his name, some of you know him. About May last year, he posted on his Facebook, he's my Facebook friend, I want to commit suicide. And 65 of his friends said, we like this. So either they were not his real friends or...
Death the leveler.
Right? And the third point I wanted to make is, I don't know how many of you read this Ad Age article about how Pepsi decreased its mass media spend and increased its digital and social media spend. And you can't directly correlate, but Pepsi's sales have fallen down with Coke. Now again, you can't just say communication is the only reason why Pepsi is not doing well and Coke is doing well. But it could be one of the reasons. So for digital media, I know the numbers are huge. If you take one telco and mobile, that telco's number are bigger than all the newspapers put together. But the kind of people that are on social media, I know youth is on social, from a consumer standpoint, from a marketer standpoint, are still not very valuable. So these are 3 things I wanted to say to this audience. And I'm not saying social media is not important. It's very, very important.